Hi everyone, this is GeoWill from Left Hand Productions Squared, and we're back to continue recording for the 13th developer's vlog for Skyrim. So I've been getting a lot of work done on the code because I've been kind of ignoring it, or neglecting it for a little bit. Past couple of update cycles in favor of going on more conceptualized kind of stuff while we're on working on the audio and whatnot. And I decided that it's about time we got back into the code and start actually doing stuff. Well, last time you'll remember that I was talking about a little bit about restructuring the INI file and updating it, if you would, or if you will, to better fit in line with some new ideas that I had about how we could more compactly do things and not have to take up so much space or use so many values and whatnot. Well, that's what I've been working on pretty much for the past couple days, even a week or so, is getting things to meet that kind of a standard. Just gonna wait till Skyrim finishes. Rawring its thumbnails here. Or no, we're adding the PSD into the Skyrim RAR. That's what it is. Getting ready to finish up with that because we're getting pretty close to the cutoff point here on the last week of recording. Or updating, rather, next week. Uploading, rather, I should say, not updating. Alright, so get rid of that. Just move this. Not to here. I'm not even sure where it's supposed to go. It's supposed to go here, I guess. Yeah, that's where I'm putting it. I still have to release. I think most of these. I got P4 released. Well, I'm not even P4. I'm not sure. But I was going to be releasing the thumbnails and whatnot, but I kind of stopped just due to forgetting it after a while. I'll have to do a massive release on that. So, let's see what happens here. How much space is that? 3 gigs, god. That's okay, this is a like 100 gigabyte, 1000 gigabyte drive or something. So that's good. 2 terabyte rather. Alright, so get rid of all that. I'll leave it there because I want to do some recording for Shadow Mordor later. Alright, so one of the things I've been working on most recently was modifying a lot of the planet stuff to fit that kind of a format. So, as I mentioned before, you have this kind of setup now where we have things listed in sequence like this, where we have to split on certain symbols to get the values, but it's a lot cleaner looking than the other one was. You know, we took like maybe 60 lines of code in here and turned it into like 7 or 10 here with just these lines, which is pretty good. I still have it set up the old way for some of them now. That does raise the question why. I may be switching everything over to just this kind of a thing, even if it's just a small number, unless it's a single variable kind of setting, if you will. Yeah, similar like this. One thing that I did that's new is I actually went through and did the separating out of the items in the database for shields and defenses, because that hadn't been done yet. Then updated the IDs in here, as well as then doing the whole one line thing. So here's an example. That's more of like a setting, which is only going to need one line. So skipping over that, I did add mining to the weapon types. So, well, no, that was already there, wasn't it? What was it that I did something with the weapon names here? I thought anyway. Maybe not. Alright, so down here in planets now, remember there's a couple of things, and that's all been replaced by this huge wall of text / a couple of lines of actual values. What I did was I went through and applied the same thing I did up there down here. Except, I also went through and pulled out a bunch of other values that are going to need to be out here. For example, these values here are actually the values for this. Here. These two values here, the checks for PSR rand. And I've also got some of the other values for this, like, for example, the PS rand range setting here is in there, this is in there, PS rand, this is in there too. So really a lot of this is going to be externalized. Probably 85% of this plant generation code is going to be externalized. So we'll have a great deal of control over what you do, what planets, how planets are generated, or what are generated as planets. Though it is very possible to kind of unbalance the game really quickly, or do something really strange by changing these things kind of haphazardly. You have to put a little bit of thought into it, because what happens now is that if a planet is within a specific range, so if this value is within this range here, so 450 to 625, and this value is within this range, or outside of this range, and that means that this planet that's being generated, if it goes through that progression, is going to be an outlier. So it's going to be smaller than 1.2 or larger than 1.8 for a type 0. And so if you make this value smaller, the value range here smaller, then what you have is a situation where you have less outliers. So the range at which this occupies, which is everything that this isn't, so this is less than 450 or greater than 625, this generates a planet that is within the normalized range. So it's a standard kind of type 0 planet. Whereas if you increase the range that this occupies, so if you change this to like 200 and this to 800, you have to change that for this one too and all the other ones if you want to keep things balanced between the different types of planets. Then you're going to have more outliers than normalized standard type 0 planets. So you'll have type 0s that are larger than normal or smaller than normal. I don't even know why I have these headphones on for. Not recording with them anymore. So that microphone's a piece of crap. So you kind of see how that allows you to have a little more control, and also some ways in which you could really kind of screw up the balance of the game. Because if you have more outlier planets than normal planets, standard planets, you may have either too many resources or not enough resources. And the question is, though, would you have more or less larger ones or more or less smaller ones? I think it would probably be kind of in the middle somewhere. One thing to remember that is if this doesn't go all the way through and process, this actually will continue processing in this loop here until it does. So, if let's say this, but to remind you of that though, this value here is only generated once per planet generation type. So let's say this is let's say that's inside of this range. Let's say it's 530, while this is 1.6, then 1.3, then 1.5, then 1.7. What's going to happen is that this will keep on processing through this while loop until the value that this generates falls within this range here. And that's by design. So the planet is going to be an outlier planet already. That's pretty much a given with this. The question is what size is it going to be? Is it going to be smaller or is it going to be larger? And that's why we go through this loop all the time. So to a certain extent, things are a bit they're not really too random. It's random, but it's also not kind of really random, because once a planet has a specific PSR rand value, that doesn't change. So at that point it becomes whatever planet that indicates it is. That doesn't change. But the thing that changes is the size if it doesn't fall within the proper range for that kind of a plan. And this value is pretty much the same in all these. Make a note in there, and also recommend that you change, if you change that value, you change it across all planet types, because that'll make sure that things are balanced. Like for example, if one planet type has 450 to 625 range for these, but another one has, let's say, 300 to 720, then that second range is going to have more outliers than the other one. But that might be something that you want to do. So it's just up to you what you're going to do with that, but just remember that it is kind of, kind of easy to mess around with that value and get a bunch of, get only outlier planets or something. Which should be interesting, I guess, It'd make the game harder for sure, or easier, I guess. It would depend on how many smaller outliers and larger outliers you got, but let's see. What else did I start adding? Oh, I did change one thing here. Or I'm updating, let's put it that way, one thing, and that's the this stuff too. This is getting pulled out, so you'll have the ability to set the percentage chances for each type of number of shields and defenses on all of these. So that's what this is down here, underneath you there. So you have your the range that this applies to. In this case, it's 1 to 100. I suggest leaving it at that, but if you want to add more, you can. But 1 to 100 is a pretty good. Not only is it good in terms of just the thing, but it's also good because it's much easier to do percentages out of 100 than it is, say, out of 1,000. But if you're going to be adding more defenses to planets and whatnot, you might need to increase this to 200 or maybe even 300. If we're going to go really crazy with the defenses and shields, then maybe even 1,000. But how this works is that you have the randomized or randomly selected value up there in the planet generation, which is sent here. Excuse me. And then that value within these ranges will determine how many types of specific elements that planet has. So 1 defense or 4 defenses, for example. And what I've done is I've gone through and actually done the percentage chance for each of them and made a note of that. But I've also done that over in here. I've moved them over here. So you can see, okay, so type 0s have a 36% chance to generate no defenses at all. Whereas a type 5 planet has, the highest it has is a 20% chance to do 2 defenses. But it can go up to a number, max of 8 defenses. Jeez. Which happens to be the max defenses allowed here, and you have to change this value if you want to add more than 8 defenses to a planet type. Yeah, I suggest that if you do change anything in here, you do the calculations for the percentage chances, because then that'll allow you to have a more accurate idea of how things are going to split off, how things are split off, how they're set up. Did the same with shields, only have 4 shields though, so it's a little bit more balanced than the in terms of the spread of the percentages than defenses are. The next thing that I plan to do is adding in here, which is where I was at, indicating this thing, a function that will kind of allow that to happen, and that is to allow that being you being able to add more defenses to a specific planet without having to modify the code here, is by first externalizing this stuff, the number of defenses that are applied, but also by including a new function that will kind of randomize the type, because since we're doing it this way now, and we're going by planet type, you have to have the chance to be able to use multiple weapons from multiple types, multiple defenses. And now that we've split things apart, you can't do that anymore the way I have it here, because when I was doing it here, as you'll see if I get down there far enough, well, I've actually removed it already. But I was going and using the maybe we have it on shields. Still, yeah, here, I was using the ranges that we had before. These values are wrong anyway, but they're really wrong now. Because this was when we had things all compacted together into one, just long group of items. Now we split them off by types. We're going to have to do something where we'll have a chance of getting a specific type. Let's say we have a type 2 planet, and it gets like 5, let's say 4 defenses. So we do another one of these kind of things where we have the type split off by these percentage ranges. And when a range is selected, it'll go through and do a random for the actual value range. So in this case, let's say we get a tier type 2 defense here. Go up a bit. Those are still shields. Actually, shields come before defenses. So these are ones here. And so we do a random between 24-23 and 24-24. And let's say then that the other ones are 1s. So we do a random between 407 to 409. Right now, type 0 planets will use type 1 defenses, but eventually we'll also get in type 0 defenses, which will be a little bit weaker than these. But I haven't added those yet, nor do the shields. But for now, they'll use type 1s. So that's kind of how that's going to work now. So what I've been doing, though, is trying to get through and implement this stuff in. And that's what you saw me doing over here, which was so I could get the code that you just saw, this code up here, actually get it finished, and so I can check to see if it's going to work properly or not. This code here. So that's what we're going to be working on today, is trying to get the rest of this stuff in and then seeing how that all falls into place. I'm only going to be recording for about an hour though, so let's see what we can get done. What I'm doing here is I'm adding in strings that are going to hold the strings from here temporarily, so I can then go back through and do the splitting that we need to do on them. So what we need to do now is continue doing that, and now let me see. Some gum out here. Just can't clean out my damn sinuses with this stuff. It really sucks. I can't find Everest gum anymore. That stuff was awesome for doing this job because it was so strong. I mean, if you had 3 pieces of that stuff in your mouth, chances are you were having just a cold fire going on in your mouth, because that stuff is so intense that it's I don't know how else to explain. It's like putting 3 ice cubes in your mouth that are on fire or something. Alright, so what we need to do now is to create the string for this. I think I was trying to think of a name for it. So PS Rand, I guess. Actually, no, we've already made the name, haven't we? Oh, that was PS Rand, okay. 1S. Or 1 Rand. Why not 2 though? Why not Rands? There's multiple randoms. We'll change to Rands, why not? So EKS ranges, PS ranges. So, P defenses and P shields. Oh god. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to take these strings and actually plug them in up here. So I believe it's just ships, then the weapons. Yeah. So ships. Lasers and missiles, blah 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 blah. So, ships. Oh, that's, alright, yeah. That's gonna be laser ID range, period. Let's see. Let's go over here and change this stuff up here. So, let's see, where are we at? Let's go through and make all these things the same. Yeah, here it is too. Mining barge, mining laser, range, string. We're done with clones. I think those are the last two in this section. So, we need to add externs for these two. So that's all we need now. Oh, mining lasers too, yeah. Sure. Stern, string. So, item ID dot SSR, right? Yeah. So yeah, instead of having like 6 different ranges, now we just have 2. It's a lot more compact and a lot less complicated when bringing stuff into the game. So that's a plus. The complicated thing is what happens after you get the data into the game. You have to get it into a form that can be used, and that requires a lot of splitting and exploding and all kinds of crazy things. So, let's see, what are these now? So, LWID are, like I said, LW, MW, so laser weapons, missile weapons, ID, range, IDR, string. So, IDR, STR. Alright. Oh, non-specific C6. Really, all I have to change is this. What do we have that for that one? I'm not sure. So it's NSMLI. So non-specific mining laser. And these are non-specs. And then nothing for that. Or non-spec. Right? Yeah. Alright, and we'll change all these up here. So, missile, bomb, rail, and heavy. Now, this still doesn't allow you to add in new types of weapons, though. So this is still going to have to change a bit, isn't it? True. What I mean by new types is, like, say you want to add in a new type called I don't know, Mass Effect cannon or something like that, pile driver. Class of weapons that's different from laser, missile, bomb, heavy, rail, or heavy weapons. So, you wouldn't be able to add that in because you wouldn't be able to get into the code to add the processing for that type of weapon. So what we'll have to probably do is combine all these different lines together, and then like you do with the planet ranges. Just have it be used against a string that has this string here that tells you what the different things are. But that's going to have to be done another time, because that's going to take a lot of thinking and planning, and probably a fair bit of experimentation too. Because what we have to do is, after that, we have to put in something that will use the vector that's going to be in, vector of vectors, that this is going to be in, to grab that information. That's going to be kind of crazy. So I'd rather wait till I get the game a bit more finished. Maybe do that in 0.9 or something. Granted, that's probably not the best time to do it, because then we'd have a lot more code to change, but at the same time, you know what, no, screw it. We need to do it now, because this is the best time to do it. We're already changing probably 90% of the code anyway, because of all these changes, so. Weapon ID range, we'll just change it to that. I'll separate them out with a semicolon, so. Now, do I want to add mining lasers to the non-specifics, or leave them as a special item range? Yeah, we'll leave them like this. Well, no, because we want a new type of mining lasers, these need to be the same way. So we'll just have to do is another section like with weapons here. Or maybe do it in the weapons section. So, ML types equals 2. It's not really numerical order. So ML names. So take this off of here. Make this 5 again. And we'll just use that for that. So, that's done. So. The weapons section. Alright. So, we just made things a crap ton more complicated, but I think in the long run, it's going to be better. So, it's actually going to be weapons, we'll just call it. But we're going to keep the... Well, no. We may have to... What we'll have to do, I think, is probably make a vector that'll hold the weapons. So, extern vector string weapon string. I don't know if we'll need the other strings here. I don't think we will, so we can get rid of those. We'll need to keep these vectors, though. Well, no. We just need one vector. It'll be a vector of vectors, so... and then we can get rid of all this. Then we need another one. Let's see, so... Put the thinking caps on there. So let's say that we explode this now by... semicolon first. So we'll have a vector that has okay, so what we'll have to do now is kind of a three-step process. We'll have the first one where we explode it by semicolon. Then that'll put in a vector. We'll need to set each vector's elements to another string. So in this case, it'll be like for this, it'll be to the first. It'll be set to the M lasers string. That'll be exploded by semicolons, and then that will be set to the vector here, which will probably be called lasers or something. Or something similar to that. Then we have to take each of the two elements and set those to two different strings. And then, well, maybe not. Maybe we could do it on a for loop so we can use only one string. Be economical about it. So we take the information that's stored in both those elements and save it to the new string. The new string will be exploded on commas, which will get us another group of things here. And then these will then be processed the same way, another for loop through there, and then once they're done, they'll be split on these, and then the two values will be used in the proper vector that'll have, you know, WID range or something like that, which is over in global scripts. Jeez. Alright, so let's see. Should we just keep WID range? It doesn't have any effect on anything really. It's just the name of the struct that we're using. The thing is, why I'm doing this is because I'm thinking that eventually we'll have something more like this where there'll be multiple values required or used in these things. So that was the thinking behind using this. So if we're going to do mining lasers, we should probably do them in their own thing because they won't have the same information a weapons would, for example. So the question then becomes, what do we do with them then? Huh, interesting. Okay, now I had it turned off. Okay. Oh, it doesn't really matter because this drive is pretty much dead. My H drive, yeah, there it goes, now recognized. So, sure. Well, that's something I have to grapple with for a while and then get back and figure out how to deal with it. So, that's actually probably a good place right now to go ahead and stop. So, that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to end the recording session, as it were. I'm just going to put it on pause till the next time. So, no outro. Next time I'll have figured out what the hell I'm going to do with that, and then we'll continue completing that up, and then we'll see what we can do with the rest of the stuff. So, thanks for watching the videos ahead of time, and I will see you for the next recording session.